Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream of our lore through of Shadow of the Erdtree. Hope you're doing well. So yesterday's stream we more or less went through Bellyrot Jail and then Bellyrot proper, defeating the divine dancing beast the lion. And then after that we kind of just made our way over here to the Cerulean coast and talked to all of the NPCs after the divine lion. So part of the reason why I wanted to come here was so that way we could go to the Fisher and see the cross there to get some really cool dialogue from Anspach. I guess I'll leave the HUD on. So I really don't feel like fighting the ghost dragon because it just drops a heart. And I think once you kill all three you can get the ghost dragon breath, so I might do it eventually, but I just don't necessarily want to do it right now. Trying to remember if there's any pot dudes over here. Really have no reason for fighting these guys. Alright. So Dave Asenex, our Crusader, welcome back to the stream. Doing pretty well, how about yourselves? So as we come into the Cerulean coast, we see a bunch of the stone coffin ships, as well as some of the tombstones, which we can kind of find in the consecrated snowfield region. It's nice having a colossal again. Alright. And part of the reason why I can say that is they have like a more distinctive tombstone shape. Actually, now that I think about it, it almost looks like as though it's like a wailing tombstone that's just been like grafted with a bunch of other smaller ones like this. So maybe they are a little bit different than what we see in the mountaintops or the consecrated snowfield. And then of course we do have some of the wailing tombstones as well. And that's wailing without an H. And if you want to see whale skeletons, you need to play Bloodborne and go into the Chalice dungeons. So as we come up to the ship's coffins, we will always get gloveworts. So grave glovewort tier 9. Really nice. And it's kind of weird how these are constructed because they don't exactly seem like ships and they also don't exactly seem like coffins. But they have a lot of really interesting designs on them. Maybe the shading is not the best for this right now. Oh, it's starting to rain, of course. So I was catching a little bit of Cosmos' stream earlier today, and he had the comment that it almost looks like the tiles on the coffins were placed randomly or like out of order, and he wonders if you rotated them, if they could actually be something a bit more coherent, which I didn't really think about, but I could potentially see that being the case. And many people, myself included, have wondered whether or not these coffin ships are the same kind of things depicted on the ancient dynasty steles, which I guess I could go to the area to show it off, like the underground in the base game. And I think having the oxen at the top of the ships does seem to make that connection more likely, although it'd be really hilarious if it was all just a big coincidence after all. I don't exactly remember where the best example of the stele would be off the top of my head. I thought there was one around here. Might need to use a glowstone. I know there's a really good one in the Lake of Rot, but I have not been over there. Well, I guess, no, it's only good if you have the free cam, because you can't really see it otherwise. I feel like that symbol in the middle might show up on the ships. That might have been the one that Cosmos was freaking out, saying he thought he knew where it was, or he thought he'd seen it before, but he couldn't remember where it was. So maybe not around here. It might be in the further on region. Hey, Enter, nice to see you again. You heard we like gravestones, so you put some gravestones on our gravestones. Thanks, bro. Oh no, I just had the realization that that reference has to be like extremely old now. I guess I never went this way, or I never looted all this stuff. Uh-oh. Nope, I've definitely gone this way. Hey, MK, welcome in, and Galaxy Dragon and Scowlezy. Let's go ahead and go over here. I think the ships are connected to the shamans and Newmans. As we know, they traveled to the lands between. I'm not sure. So I was going to talk about that once I showed this off. Okay, it's this one. It's the one with the fires. Okay, I should have remembered that. I thought it was this side of Grace had the closest one. Should have trusted my intuition. Really helps if you have the free cam. Alright, I'm going to back it up a little bit more. It's a little too much. Alright, so this is about as good as I can get it with no free cam mod. So at the very top portion of the screen right now, you have what looks to be like 3 of the stone coffin style ships. And the tops of them are really hard to make out. They look like a bunch of squigglies, but with the stuff in the Cerulean coast, I could see people believing them to be oxen, even if they are just kind of like squigglies at the end of the day. And then underneath that picture, we've got a bunch of people seeming to tend saplings or like trees. And then this third one looks like a bunch of people potentially around graves. It's kind of hard to, or not graves, but like a body about to intern it or something like that. Kind of reminds me of Bloodborne in the research hall. And then, yeah, a lot of this stuff isn't the easiest to make out. So, just wanted to show that off. So yeah, I was really excited with the, what's called, the first trailer showing off the Cerulean coast, because I saw those ships in the background. I was like, oh man, is that actually depicted from the steles? And it very well could be, but we just don't know for sure. And then MK said that the artwork looks like it could have been repurposed from some Mayan ruins. Oh, because like the Olmec looking like dudes that I haven't shown off yet. I mean, they're on the screen. I just didn't like look at them specifically. These little guys. Yeah, I could definitely see how that's true. Like Mayan in nature, and also like the snakes on the side of the railings. And I am kind of inclined to agree with Cosmos' assessment, at least for these tiles, that they look out of order, like they don't connect properly. It's a messed up looking snake. But nonetheless, I do think it's really fascinating that there are depictions of snakes at all on these kind of stone coffin things. Yeah, I would really love a FromSoft take on an Aztec or Mayan type civilization like Bloodborne or Dark Souls style. We like obviously the closest we got to that was Shulva, but let's be real here, it was in Dark Souls 2. No, but I do think Shulva is probably one of the more visually interesting areas in the entire game. And I think we've got almost like depictions of angel-looking like things on some of these ships. I think the easiest ones to show off are like right by the side of Grace, way up above. Was there an ox on this delay? It's kind of hard to say. It's like the Rorschach test of the lore hunting. So it's pretty much whatever you make of it. So we get some grave crickets, which I haven't read yet, obviously. Brand new item. Parkour. All right. We will fight the demi-humans first, and then we'll check out the fissurer. So what we got? Grave cricket. Cricket that produces a raspy cry, mainly found near stone coffins. The sound of these crickets are often taken to be the rustling of the restless dead, or sometimes the sound of their calling voices. It's kind of interesting because the little wings, whatever you want to call it, on the crickets kind of look like scream mask type skulls, or kind of messed up earlobes, depending on how you squint your eyes. Right. Not going to worry about the glovewort stuff. It'd be nice if the stone relief stuff was higher resolution sometimes. So the weird thing is sometimes the textures are randomly higher resolution on the different ones, and it's just a little bit inconsistent. And obviously if you're on PC, you can use mods to make things more clear. And some people can just like rip the assets directly. I have never done that stuff. It might be worth doing, but I mean, sorry to TA, but I don't think there's ever really been like one specific thing in the game where it's like blown open all of the lore from just looking at stuff like this. And I say that as somebody who spent a ton of hours looking at the assets of Bloodborne and discovering that the depiction of the Hunt of Saint Hubert was in like the Gascoigne arena. See, those are like the little mine looking like dudes. So, oh yeah, this thing kind of looks like an angel, like a person with wings. Then we've got a bird depicted, a person praying. So, it's kind of weird how there's like a mishmash of assets, and I guess it's better seen in the putrescent cave, whatever it's called, where you go to find Saint Trina with a free cam. Okay, no, here we have it, because we've also got like really random like depictions of people like this on like these window type things or doorways. Well, there wouldn't be doorways on a ship. Well, it's a coffin, not a ship, so that makes even less sense, doesn't it? Anyway, that's pretty much that for the ships, coffins, whatever you're going to call them. So let's go see the demi-humans. Do I have the Serpent God sword? I don't think so. I don't remember where all I went in the base playthrough. No, I did. Okay. Carved sword fashioned in the image of an ancient serpent deity and tool of a forgotten religion practiced on Mount Gelmir. Formerly used to offer up sacrifices, this sword restores HP upon slaying an enemy. So do you think there's a connection between the coffin serpents and this one? And like the coffin folk were sacrificed or anything like that? And then Jack Irish and Pokemon, nice to see you guys again. I can't tell if Jack is saying Queen Marika, as in the Erdtree Queen Marika, or Queen Mariga, the demi-human queen right now. She had a reason for what she did, but she went way too far in your opinion. What about the one thing that did nothing to her people? No, there's no references to the holes in the graves in the games. So we've got another Yoda over here. I don't know if he's as aggro as Onze. Uh-oh. I tried jumping. I must have been out of stamina. Oh my god. That damage, though. I should have leveled up. I was not expecting that. Let me double check my talismans. Alright, I need to level up endurance. It's kind of a good thing that he killed me, because that reminded me of what I needed to do. Alrighty. I think I can just horse cheese him. Jack Irish is being destroyed by autocorrect tonight. Hey Ash King, nice to see you again. You wouldn't be surprised if there's nothing behind the reliefs and it's nothing more than game design of the game? How could they put grave gloveworts in coffins without new lore? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either, but I still like to look at everything and see if I can't finagle some fun headcanon out of it. Yep. That's what we call the colossal cheese. Get a polterstone from him and the starlight shards. Makes a noise imitative of human presence. Contrivance of the gravekeepers made from spirit gravestone. Craftable item. Creates noise imitative of human presence where it lands when thrown. Said to have been used by the solitary gravekeepers to distract themselves from their longing for company. I've never used this. If I get another one, I'll use it just to even see what it sounds like. And then there's nothing really around here. I think there's like a random few demi-humans in caves, but I don't remember if there's any treasure worthwhile. Which isn't to say that it doesn't exist, I just don't remember. And mounted colossal are what, like, strong attacks are so broken. I pissed off the Blorbo. Okay, get another poltergrave stone. Wait. Oh, the spirit sword. Okay. Sharp blade sculpted into a twisted shape. A sword that has seen many years of use in the gravesite. Said to serve as a medium for communion with spirits. And then this gives us Rancor Slash. Spin around, slashing foes while summoning vengeful spirits which chase down foes. Additional input allows for a follow-up attack. Let's go ahead and use it. Well, that was a little bit anticlimactic. Oh, so it sounds like footsteps. Occasionally. That's kind of trippy. Also really sad if you think about it, if they wanted to resort to that. Dylan likes fighting the Yodas. It'd be cool if we could move around like that, for real though. America did not spare a single horn cent. She didn't spare the children, the women, people that did nothing wrong. It was all Mesmer, bro. America, you know. She didn't do it. I think there's a cave over here on the right. It's got an angry boy. Alright. And so why does think there's a snake connection with the ships and the Newmans? And you think that could help explain why Messimer has serpents as well? What, you guys thought my cheese strat only worked on the little guys? Nah. So we got some string because it's a demi-human. And the skidoo tree fragment. I'm glad I went into that cave after all. Wait, they explode? I forgot about that. Oh, these ones you can see their tiny hands. That's funny. And so we do have some of the floating ice lightning balls, which does kind of give this more of a concentrated snowfield connection, or like the underground Shifra style connection. No, they've only got one head each. Uh-oh. Alright, and we got our flasks back. LP Lord of Cheese? Not quite. That's legit. That was intended by the devs. It's not cheese at all. Ooh, baby, we got the brand new DLC item, the club. It's kind of fun. Right. Now let's stop being turned around and find the exit. Okay, so this is where I came in. Now I figured it out. Do the spirit worms look like sour gummy worms? No, it's not just you. They definitely look like that. I was really disappointed there weren't any secret caves in these waterfalls. Seemed like a good spot for it. Right. Operation Kite the Demi-humans has begun. I wonder if Kite Tails would approve. Oh god. There are some people who played the entire game having never used torrent, and when I'm doing strats like this, it makes me feel extra bad for them. That's what I get for trying to do L1s instead of L2s. Trying to be slightly less cheesy. Which means being slightly less effective. Yeah, the double hit is just satisfying every time. I thought there was another one. I guess it was just a grave. There's a lot of demi-humans here. Oh, it was a note. No real reason to fight those little dudes. Actually, do they get aggroed? I don't remember. I take it back. I'm gonna fight them. Colossal weapons got a lot of love in the DLC. Yeah, all the patches. I was pleasantly surprised. I feel bad for all the PvP people who hate dealing with colossals, though, I guess. Actually, the PvP people have it rough having to deal with the backhand blades and their blind side. Demi-human Queen Mariga. I don't know if we're going to be able to beat her. Oh, there's another little dude. Yeah, let's just be safe about it. Oh, I should have had that. It's a decent chunk of runes, though. We get the Starline sword from her, which is a super cool weapon. This is our Yoda weapon, guys. Sword encrusted with a line of stars fashioned from small pieces of crude glintstone. Weapon of the demi-human swordsman. When bestowed with this weapon by their queen, the swordsmen swear to find the truth that lies at the end of the procession of stars. Unique skill, Onze's line of stars. This skill, named after demi-human swordmaster, imbues sorceress energy into lined glintstones and executes a slash attack. Repeated inputs allow for up to 2 follow-up attacks, each dealing greater damage than the last. This weapon was super cool, and I kind of wanted to use it, but my stat allocation was definitely not in line for it, so I didn't use it in my playthrough. Oh yeah. So before leaving this area, I may as well loot the solitary coffin over here. Thanks for the nicely done. Just, you know, slow and steady. And torrent colossal weapon supremacy. That's all it really took. The Great Grave Glovewort. Alright. Starline is definitely cool. You've used that one some. I wonder if it's decent in PvP. It probably helps that in the base game, the little demi-human swordsman can take away 2/3 of my health with one attack. I can imagine PvP isn't quite as bonkers. Right, so let's go with endurance. Hey, I'm still medium. Okay, and I can equip a different one. So, I think I'm just going to do with the Dragon Crest Talisman for physical damage reduction. Don't have the horseback one. Oh no, I do have Crepus's Vial? Oh, it's just... Oh, I know why I didn't realize that I had it. It's because it was in a different spot than normal. I don't have my full list of talismans, so I thought I didn't have it. That's the goat talisman right there. Okay. Hey, Diemo, welcome back in. Where do I think the ships came from? You don't think they ever floated on water? I don't know. Well, if you think about it, we also have other stone coffins which can go up and down waters and waterfalls. Actually, how many runes do I need to level up again? So I wouldn't put it past these to having been water traversable to some degree. Maybe with some magic. The suppression pillar does say that death kind of gets washed up or drifts into the Shadowlands. So there is some reason to believe that. I didn't mean to go to this one. Did I not? Oh, no. For some reason, I just thought there was another point. So, anyway, Leon Highwind, nice to see you again. Nectarine. You think the Starline Sword and the Yoda guy exist just to get the Demi-human's actual lore? Oh, yeah. I should talk about this a little bit more. It is interesting that the Demi-human queens gave them the missive to get into, like, the procession of stars, essentially. Especially because Onse didn't want to do that because he was afraid of the ruin which would follow with that. So let's check that out. Alright, so Onse, a master swordsman who devoted himself to the Starline Sword, realized that only ruin awaited at the end of the procession of stars and imprisoned himself in order to forestall it. So it is curious as to what that means exactly. I tend to think it's probably the same kind of ruin that the primeval glintstone sorcerers would have encountered, but I know other people feel differently about that. Jack Irish beat the DLC level 1 and no blessings. You are more hardcore than I am, my friend. I did not want to spend the time to learn Radon with my 0 blessing run. And I would probably be more open to doing like a level 1 challenge run. I just don't want to have to use like unsatisfying weapons and equipment for me. Or have to rely on like more heavily cheesy strats, I suppose. But good job, man. It's quite an achievement. Our Crusader wonders why the Demi-human queens go more for sorceries than incantations or blood arts. Maybe you missed some lore, you guess? Well, they did have a pact with the Carians, according to the Demi-human queen's staff. So some of them are smart enough to be able to cast sorceries. But I guess if they're not fully human, maybe they don't have faith. Maybe that's like a uniquely human trait. I need to think about that a bit more. The Cerulean Coast and Charleston Grave resemble the Twin Bird when viewed together. I know some people have thought like red and blue is like the branch sword talismans with like the death birds, and therefore could be like depictions of the Twin Bird. But I don't know if they are like meant to literally look like the Twin Birds or not, which is how you're making it sound right now. All I know about the Demi-human queens is that they have at least 17 intelligence, and they're smarter than most of my tarnished characters. Hey, Jay Conluke, welcome into the stream. Bach has faith in me as a lord. Oh no. Time to burn the world. So I was actually kind of excited to see cemetery shades as regular enemies, because now I can do this to them and get some sweet, sweet revenge for the times they bled me while I was guarding in the underground. Gravekeeper's Cookbook 1. A record of crafting techniques of the Gravekeepers who watch over those who rest in the realm of shadow. Acquire the knowledge to craft the following: Peak Bone Arrow and Peak Bone Bolt. Right. I also like love stuff like this in games like Elden Ring, likely hole. where if you look, you can find it, but it's not exactly super obvious. Because I really just like exploring. Which is partially why I did a no blessing run my first time around. Because I knew I would over-explore and neglect going to the places I was supposed to go. And I didn't want to completely outscale the enemies and not know if I beat the enemy with my own skill or if I just was over-leveled. So there's no reason to fight this crawdad, because it doesn't drop anything worthwhile except, you know, runes. And same thing with these crabs. So hopefully the red dancer doesn't kill me too many times and make me lose my runes, but she doesn't have a crazy amount of poise, so this should not be too bad, I would hope, with this weapon. Hey Mercy, nice to see you again. Dylan wonders if the demi-humans lost their intelligence over time, like a lot of the other folk in the Lands Between. I've wondered that as well, if it's related to like losing gold or something like that. Dancer of Ranah. Stuck on the candle. So that's a little dance move. It's kind of funny how many enemies you saw in different places on the trailers than where they actually showed up. Like, we don't ever see a fully corporeal version of the Dancer of Ranah. Uh-oh, I'm out of stamina. I should have hit that. Hey, Sir Edway, nice to see you again. It's been a minute. How you doing? Jack's favorite character is Moore. Husbando material? Oh. Oh, she finally dodged the follow-up. Feels bad, man. Look at that input read every time. Well, that was a failed heal. That always happens with the FromSoft trailers. You think literally every boss in the DS2 trailers were in different spots in the release? Maybe, but DS2 also had like a lot of exigent circumstances to explain some of those differences. You hate this input reading boss? Well, she could input read the back of her eyelids. Well, let me fix something on my monitor. You gotta be joking me. I can't get rid of this? 1 second, guys. This might mess up. That's so annoying. I'm getting like a panel protection notice that isn't going away. That's what I get for getting an OLED. So Dancing Blade of Ranah, Dancer's Hood, Dancer's Dress, Dancer's Bracer, Dancer's Trousers. So hold on. I don't want to execute this. I'm going to turn off my monitor. This might screw the stream. Let me know if the stuff gets desynced in a minute. Alright. That's what I was afraid of. Do some things in the DLC feel incomplete? Would you like to elaborate on what you think is incomplete? Right, hopefully this is still synced up for you guys. Alright. What in the hell is the sword I'm using? It's the Ancient Meteoric or Great Sword. It's amazing. It's a strength arcane weapon. And then Sins of Avarice 97. Nice to see you again. So Anthropus. It's been a minute. Oh man, that thing just popped up again. That's so annoying. Might take several minutes to complete. This is the first time where I can't just actually move the thing to cancel it. This is really annoying. Okay, I can't read the text on my screen. Alright, hold on, guys. This might take a couple minutes. Let me think about what I want to do with the stream. Monitor issues. Alright, hold on. Let's just do it. So it looks like I can still kind of play on my OBS for now while it's doing the panel stuff. So hold on, let me try to make this bigger on my end, and then maybe I can read the text this way. Okay. Long black trousers worn underneath the bright red dress of the Ranah dancers enhances the power of dancing attacks. Designed to protect the sword-wielding hand. The dance of Ranah is one of burning passion, and the most passionate dancers never allow their fiery dance to end, losing even their names as they dance on. To see the passion fade is to see the dancer's flame extinguished. So, what was the other item which talked about the names being tied to the heart? So, there's a kind of overlap between names and hearts and memories in the game that is not explored very much. I'm drawing a blank as to what else it appears in. Dancing Blade of Ranah, decorative swords ablaze with impassioned red. A pair of weapons made to be wielded in both hands, used by the dancers of Ranah. Strikes enemies with a dancing assault when executing a strong attack. Unique skill, Unending Dance. A furious dance formed by succession of slashing attacks. Hold the button down to sustain the dance for as long as stamina allows. I actually really like this weapon, and I feel like this is probably one of the more tragic ones in the DLC, because this weapon seems like it would be so fun for the base game when you can use it a bit more freely. Whereas like when you get up into the DLC, you kind of want to deal as much damage as possible, and you don't really have a lot of chances to just keep swinging with this. So, alright. That is all that. So, Anthropus firmly believes Elden Ring's lore will never be truly pieced together. Feels bad, man. I mean, to be fair, I don't think even all of Dark Souls' lore has been fully pieced together. So, that's kind of what I expected going into it. But I am still a little bit disappointed at how little of the DLC truly connects into the base game in multiple ways. And let me hydrate real quick. Oh, this thing is still... Alright, so Corn was saying you can actually beat the game with the dance attack if you're doing the iron potion with Morissette. You know, that's a really clever way of doing that. I wouldn't have imagined that, but that makes a lot of sense. The full endurance build for the win. And Tawai wonders if these coffins were spaceships. I've wondered that as well. Like literal airships, literal spaceships. Right. Jack was saying that some of the areas feel unusually empty, and a lot of the new weapon types don't have somber versions. Alright, hold on. Let me deal with the dogs. Be right back. And this is why I tend to not parry. It's because I'm trash. I done goofed. I felt like I should have blocked that. Anyway, I should probably rely more on dodging, and then I was just slow. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, there's a spot to stand. Okay, that's kind of nice. I should have dodged. I felt like I was way early for that. Alright, yeah, I screwed up. Lie or die? Gotta go for it. Oh, that's different. I don't remember him actually taking his head off. He's kicking my ass now. Oh, I was not expecting that direction. I'm gonna die. See, I felt like I blocked way too early, but I felt like I blocked in time, but apparently that wasn't time enough. Alright, I am back, and my monitor is still going through its cycle, so that's super cool. Alright. So Jack was saying that some of the areas just feel unusually empty, and a lot of the new weapon types don't have somber versions. Could you... Oh, okay, I see what you mean by, like, the new weapon types. So you wanted more, than, like, 3 dagger type things of the backhanded blades, or a couple more, what are they called? The light great swords, like special versions. I could see that. So yeah, as far as like the emptiness of the areas, I agree, but I don't know like what exactly the solution is, and I think this is a big problem with open world games in general, where traveling becomes tedious if you aren't rewarding players for exploring. But then you also very easily run the risk of burning people out by forcing them to explore too much, or you run into the issue of them being under-leveled for certain content. So unless you're doing something more zone-based, or something where the game scales to the player, or the world updates a bit more dynamically to what the player does, I don't know what all they could have done differently with the way that Elden Ring was already set up. I think this Shadow Tree blessings were a decent enough idea to try to like level the playing ground for people who are like level 500 versus, you know, level 100. But I don't know. DLC suffers from Elden Ring's base problem, the open world, empty areas, good content spread very far across one another, a lot of reused assets, etc. And I think the crafting could have been better. It does get really stale when you know what catacombs have like the relevant items, and there's not a ton of reason to go into a lot of the side areas. Dylan thinks the DLC reuses more enemy NPCs than he expected it would. I kind of wish it took a little bit more from the DLC and put it in the base game and vice versa to just make them all feel a bit more fresh. Like, I was pleasantly surprised to see the Karian Glintblade dudes in Castle Ensis, but then they only ever showed up there, which is perfectly fine. But then we got a bunch of repeating Blorbos in every like little area. Gravebirds everywhere. I like Gravebirds, but I think they get reused a bit too much. And I would have liked it if there were a lot fewer Gravebirds, but if they were just a little bit deadlier and weren't easy to knock out of the sky or like stagger for a while. When did I update my highlights? I've had the Lies of P one for a while. I actually need to finish editing like my Hollow Knight Be Right Back screen. I was going to do it in the Trial of Champions or whatever it's called, but I didn't finish it. So maybe this will be motivation for me to do that over the weekend or something. Galaxy feels like there's a lot of cool but meaningless stuff in the lore, like the procession of the stars we talked about earlier. We'll never learn what it is. Same is true with lots of other stuff mentioned. I don't necessarily think that's a fault. I think that's a good component of world building. So even if some stuff doesn't, or like isn't always relevant, I think having the existence of certain things can make the world feel bigger than it would otherwise. So I don't mind it. Dylan still needs to finish Lies of P. I enjoyed it. I really hope that FromSoft learns from like their upgrade system. I think it was one of the better Soulsborne knockoffs. I kind of put Lies of P and Lords of the Fallen at about the same level. I think Lies of P is more polished in many ways, but Lords of the Fallen just kind of appeals to me a bit more. I like the combat in Lords of the Fallen a little bit more. Solanthropist hopes this is their last open world game. Oh, I think my monitor's done updating. It just didn't turn on automatically. It's annoying. So, okay. Let me know if the sound is desynced for you guys. I think it should be fine with the way that I like had set up all my sound stuff. But in the before times, this would have completely been desynced. So let me like hit a wall. So that way you guys can have like a good consistent thing to look at. How dare I compare Lies of P to Lords of the Fallen? How dare I indeed. Like, the thing about Lords of the Fallen is, I think at its core, it's a good game. And if they just tweaked numbers on the system side, it could be like a great game. But it's not. Lords of the Fallen could have definitely used a couple more enemies as well. Wait, where's our site of grace? There it is. It's where the giant cross is, of course. Cryptic Stench, welcome on in. That's a very interesting name. Jack Irish was hoping for more blood magic. Bro, I was hoping that we would get a lot more buff options than what we ended up getting. So we got Nectar Blood Virgins. I'll read those in a minute. Like, I wanted more like Black Flame incantation buffs. Blood Flame incantation buffs would have been cool. The Black Flame one is the most egregious to me because it only lasts like 6 seconds. But anyway. Alright. Carved words coalesce. I abandon here my doubt and vacillation. Some cool stuff. All right. They did you dirty back at launch. Can't bring yourself to go back to Lords of the Fallen, or what specifically? Okay, it is synced. Sweet. Thank you so much. Okay, for Lords of the Fallen. Yeah, I was playing on PC. I really didn't have many issues, but I know so many people were having tons of issues that I definitely understand why it was not received nearly as well as it could have been. I actually did really like the multiplayer. Well, the PvP at least, for a little while. I forgot about this troll here. Are there only 2 trolls in the DLC? No, 3 trolls. We've got the Belfry troll. We've got this bro. And then the Castle Ensis one. Well, that happened. What the hell just happened there? I was hoping I was gonna posture break him again. Well, can't posture break him if I miss. I should have leveled up. Okay, hefty cracked pot. I thought we got something like that from him. So we get some more of the stone coffins. I really do like how pretty this area is. So even though, like, I don't mind that the areas can be empty at times, I just feel like there's not enough points of interest in the DLC in general, which I know is a little bit of sacrilegious in some circles to say that, but I tell it like I see it. And really, like, beyond the Shadowkeep, Bellirat, and tiny bits of like Rao, there's not much going on compared to like how the base game tends to have a couple more varied locations. So as we come up here, we get a bunch of deep purple lilies, which shows the kind of Saint Trina connection. I know I still haven't read any of them yet. And as we come around to the fissure, we have a ton of the putrescent oozes. Actually, I don't know. I was gonna try to hit one, but I didn't want to get into combat, but I'm in combat anyway. I don't remember if there's any like specific items over here that I need to grab. I don't think so, but I've also definitely been wrong about that on this playthrough already. Hey, okay. Saint Trina's Disciples Cookbook. A record of crafting techniques left by a disciple who pursued the teachings of the Saint of Sleep. Yet what seemed a gentle sleep at first ripened into velvet. Acquire the knowledge to craft the following: Eternal Sleep Grease and Drawstring Eternal Sleep Grease. I'll eventually read some of these like craftable materials, but alright. Oh, when they took out the maxed out weapon upgrades? Yeah, that was a dumb decision by the devs. Like, bro, I could have made Lords of the Fallen such a better game for players just by tweaking numbers, and that's like the biggest travesty of them all. I definitely remember what you're saying about that now. Okay. Try to purge that from memory. Yeah, their upgrade system in that game was kind of garbage. When you face hit a troll, they become extremely vulnerable to an immediately follow-up posture break. Interesting. There's a merchant note about that in the base game. It's just very rare that I actually hit their face with my playstyle. What I think the next FromSoft game is going to... it's probably going to be Elden Ring 2. I don't know. I tend not to like ever have any big expectations. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something completely off the wall again, like 3D Hero. That's actually the one FromSoft game that I really wanted to play before I even like knew about what their company was. But I didn't have a PS3, so I never got it. Because I just kind of really vibe with that kind of voxely style of like the super traditional RPG. So my magic damage weapon does not do as much damage to the putrescence as I was hoping. Yeah, these things are just super tanky for what they are. It makes me wish I had my double curved blades with bleed and frost on. So that's like the first and last one of them that I'm going to be fighting. Our Crusader said places like this really make exploring the world worth it. Yeah. I really liked this place. I really liked Charo's Hidden Grave. And coming down to the fissure was super cool. I don't know. I just kind of wish there's like a little bit more to it. This place, when I was coming down here, really gave me Sholva vibes, which is a good thing. But I don't know. Maybe it's just that it's like too linear, or... Maybe it's just because like the enemies are kind of all blah. Actually, the Looking Stones, I was really pleasantly surprised by them. Our lasers. Abusing jerks. I'm gonna fall to my death. No, that's just like a perspective issue. Okay. So as we come over here... Wait, did I have my telescope on? I think I should. Nope. We get the Erdtree crest sealed on this door, and this is the same symbol which will appear if you use the unalloyed gold needle. You don't have the rights. Oh, you don't have the rights. All the more you don't have the rights. Oh, you don't have the rights. Of course. Examine seal. Sealed and obscured by Mikola. Obscured. Interesting. Didn't remember that. I'll need to like look into that. I wonder if it means veiled in the same sense as the other things. So this is the cross that said, "Here I abandon my doubt and my vacillation." I don't remember if Ansbach talks about this one. I thought the cross thing was at the bottom of the cave. So he must talk about this one then. Let's keep pumping up mind. You want FromSoft to delve into the FPS genre, and FPS Souls-like would go hard. That'd be really tough to make. All the more power to him, but I mean, it's definitely not an FPS, but I'd say Armored Core would be like the closest version of that they could do. Dylan thinks the DLC is closer to feeling like exploring the mountaintops in some ways. Ooh, that's really rough. Okay, so I needed 400 more. If Tiolier was so into Trina, why doesn't he use any sleep weapons and spells? Only poison? That's a good question. Oh yeah, and that was another buff that I wish we got. I wish we had another wet blade where we could like use Black Flame, Blood Flame, and Sleep. Or even Frenzied Flame, or multiple wet blades. I was really hoping for that in the base game and we never got it. Bro, I'm 11 away. Where's the little critter? I was afraid I was about to fall off. Well, that's just not be enough still. Okay, there we go. So I'm probably going to get up to like 25 mind and like stop there. Do you wish FromSoft would make their old catalog more available? I wish the old catalog was more available in general. I'm still salty that the PS4 wasn't fully backwards compatible with the PS3, or how they took away the PS3's compatibility with the PS2 and PS1 with their later generations of it. And now they're like offering emulated versions of their older games with the PS Now stuff. It's kind of annoying. So we got the first tier St. Trina Disciple Cookbook. Which gives us the Eternal Sleep Pots. Okay. Southern Shore is a map of the southern shore of the Gravesite Plain. A captivating vista of brilliant blue flowers intermingled with colossal stone. Let me just reread this. A captivating vista of brilliant blue flowers intermingled with colossal stone coffins of unknown origin that seemingly drifted to this place. To the east, the jagged peak thrusts upward into the clouds. Nectar Blood Burgeon, a young shoot heavy with velvety purple nectar. Exceedingly rare to find. Said to burgeon forth where the nectar-like blood of abandoned Trina pooled. So I don't really mind that Trina has different blood than Miquella apparently, but I'm still really confused by the Empyrean Blood Burgeon saying that Miquella himself had golden blood. Anyway. I don't know if you've read this. A deep purple water lily that is on the verge of wilting grows in the blue flower field at the coast. Like a syrupy poison, its nectar lulls the imbiber into sweet, velvety sleep. Alright. Good enough. Let's actually check out these items. Eternal Sleep Pot says, the weak are powerless to resist this velvety sleep and will never be roused again. And this we get a different kind of sigil on it. The two lilies which depict Saint Trina, which is pretty cool. And then I guess I'll leave the other ones alone for now. Hey Young Tongue, welcome into the stream and thanks so much for the 5 and for calling me a noob. Love the video, appreciate that, man. Did you just watch like the most recent one on the channel, or which did you see specifically? Another great grave glovewort. Bro, can't speak tonight. Tongue twisters galore. Did I hear about the Borderlands moving bombing, by the way? Yes. Oh, so you became a member and gifted 5. Thanks for that. I appreciate that, man. And welcome into... I was going to call it the Dream Team because I don't really have a nickname for the community, I suppose. Welcome to the lore hunting. Why am I trying to fight these? I don't have the God's Layers Greatsword. Please. Panic rolled too much. I just got deleted. Okay. Yeah, so the first time I came through this region, I was still rocking the Godslayer Greatsword because I hadn't had the AMOG. So it's pretty easy to stun lock those dudes. Or like kill them while they were on fire and whatnot. Eternal Sleep's fun to mess with. Yeah, I want to do a little bit more like mechanics testing with stuff like that. Because I've used it a tiny bit. And also like the super cool souped up version of the Trina straight sword. Yeah, so my first time through the DLC, I spent all the time killing the damn, what do you call them? Finger creepers on this beach, hoping that there'd be something for it, but nope, there's nothing. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. There's also one time I like reloaded my game on top of that dragon and I fell through the floor like into these cliffs and then I couldn't retrieve my runes because my blood stain was in the cliffs as well, which is very strange. So as we come to this region, we get closer to the jagged peak. This place over here kind of makes me think that it could fit where the one random waterfall is in the ocean on the eastern side of the Lands Between. I still have not messed around with the maps myself to see how I think they should be layered on top of each other, but the ones that seem the most plausible seem as though the jagged peak would be around the Caelid region. And it's kind of interesting how the skyboxes change, and from this angle the shadow tree looks like it's got like silvery veins and whatnot going on. Oh, you watched all the videos? Appreciate that. We owe a particular boss an apology. He beat the allegations. Did he, though? Cryptic Stench never believed those filthy lies. Praise the Lord, Bogue. Are there any good rune farming places in the DLC, or is the bird still the king? It's still the bird. Genocide Hill. They're still the best rune farm as far as I know. There's a wall in one of the crypts that lets you fall through. I believe that. Looks like the Erdtree and the Dustborn ending. Yeah, I can kind of see what you mean by that. True story. It's even raining here right now. So as we come into the Finger Creeper ruins, or Finger Ruins, we see Lamprey and a bunch of Finger Creepers and these gigantic Finger Stones. The weird thing about these Finger Stones is like the whorls on them. That's not how fingers work. At least not how human fingers work. In that the whorl type patterns, that should be where your fingertips are. So it's almost as though they've been like molded by other fingers to look like this. Now I don't fully believe that. I'm just like describing how they look. Oh yeah, and obviously they've got like this kind of gold-like vein within them, which is... I don't even know what to make of this stuff, because if these things were fingers to some degree, what the hell does that say about Metter and like all the Finger Creepers? Do these things like predate them? But that wouldn't make sense because Metter's supposed to have been the first meteor. Right, and as we come up to this place, we get like a finger type ruin with a headless demigod question mark, with which we can dupe some more remembrances, which is interesting, and I really don't know what to make of this. But that demigod is also headless, along with all the others. The first floors of the storeroom for rune farming? Interesting. And Jack Irish thinks these fingers look more like the Frenzied Flame ones. I can kind of see what you mean by that, yeah. Oh no, we got the artillery guy already? Yeah, so speaking of really cool yet empty areas, does anything else really need to be said about the Finger Ruins? I was so excited when we got here. I was so scared, especially as we got closer to the bell and we got the rebirth monument appearing on the left side of the screen. So it's like, oh, you can summon? Oh, this is definitely going to be a boss fight. What the hell am I about to fight? Nothing. Big ol' lot of nothing. I spent all the time searching the walls, looking to see if there's anything hidden. Alright, here we go. But there's not really much of anything. Nailstone. I'm just going this way to avoid the artillery dude. Because I don't exactly know how to deal with them properly. Alright, there we go. This is what we went. Ziostorm's favorite finger mimic. He beat the allegations that mattered. The blood cult part is fine? Okay. Hey Stella, how's it going? Yeah, as soon as I saw the monument appear, I was like, oh my god, what is this? I like exited my game and made a save state backup just in case. Fingers ahead. By the way, seek hole. First off, precious item, therefore seek aristocrat. It's actually a pretty clever note. Time for head. Oh no. Alright. So I did like a bunch of random stuff to try to get this work. I was like, oh, maybe you need to summon something like the stupid imps for the Albinoric Rise. And that's not the Albinoric Rise. Is it the Albinoric Rise? Like the imps for the... It's not on the map, is it? I didn't go there. I think it would be the Albinoric Rise because there's nothing else there. Anyway, so I thought you had to summon something for that. I don't even remember what I tried summoning, but I tried summoning a couple things that seemed like they'd be relevant to fingers. But anyway, long story short is it didn't work. It didn't matter. So I just wanted to come up here to show this off. And then around these ruins, we've got like... Around like, I don't want to say around the ruins we have ruins, but like these tombstone looking like things seem to be venerating two fingers almost for some of them, but I think they look really reminiscent of the altars of light and shadow. And then that's it. That is all that is interesting here, minus the lamprey. So I feel like if they had only one or two areas like this, it wouldn't have made the DLC feel as barren as it does. But there's not a whole lot going on here in the Cerulean Coast, Charles Hidden Grave. I know a lot of people really hate the Abyssal Woods, which I understand, even though like I don't really mind it just because it's so different from everything else. I can appreciate it for that reason alone. And in the DLC, there's a lot fewer, what are they called? Sites of Grace. So fast traveling between locations isn't as possible, so you need to manually traverse a few areas, which tends to be a bit annoying, which I have like mixed feelings about because I felt like I simultaneously felt like there were too many sites of grace in the base game, but I knew if there were less sites of grace it would be a lot more tedious to travel around, so I think they were damned no matter what they did, and I feel like the DLC just kind of validated that thought. So once I go to... Oh, I forgot about that guy. Once I go to the house, the hut, and pick up the item and deal with the bears, I will read the things. Man, I do not want to fight this guy. Oh. Stun him. Like, over here, I thought there should have been a site of grace by the hut, because it's such a pain in the ass to try to come here again, which there's no reason to, because there's actually nothing here. But when I was just coming back to double check this area, because it felt like I had to have been missing something around here, it was just not so pleasant. Jagged Peak felt barren. I could see what you mean by that, but at least, well, parts of it definitely felt really barren. Yeah. But at least it is visually distinct from a lot of other places. It's really just like many of the places that aren't the legacy dungeons feel a little bit empty. And then, hey, Greyard, Oni, welcome back in. Murder's always the proper way to deal with things? Okay, you're being put on the watch list, Astanex. If there's a headless demigod, you wonder why there aren't any headless soldiers to guard them? You guess a wandering mausoleum really is a necessity for that, you guess? That's an interesting point that they are just kind of on the ground. Oni preferred when it was up for debate whether the fingers are actually supposed to be fingers or just resembled them. You guess there's just some cosmic being that gives birth to human hands after all, for some reason? Yeah. Jack Irish wishes there was a Frenzy Flame colossal weapon. Dylan thinks the DLC would be stronger with 2/3 of the square footage. It's kind of funny if the DLC was the size of Limgrave. I mean, it is the size of Limgrave, right? But yeah. Jack was hoping for way more Ashes of War than what we got. It's pretty rough. Like, even if we didn't get new lore for certain things, I would have appreciated a couple more Ashes of War, affinities, buffs, for sure. The real question with the finger creepers is where the hell did they get those magic rings, and why do they look like they took them from Rykard? I think it's an acceptable headcanon to say that Rykard was the ringsmith. Or maybe they're all affiliated with the Frenzied Flame, the real Sauron. Alright. So now that we've picked up our items, let's cut to our ghost. Aha! My theory is proven true! The figure creepers hail from these ruins. So now must I sound this one hanging bell. And sweetly cradled shall I come to be at the bosom of the exalted mother. Let me double check this, why he calls her exalted specifically. Because that makes me wonder whether or not Metter could be the quote-unquote grandmother that Marika was gifting her braid to. I know it wouldn't be the same term verbatim, but I'm just curious how it's referred to here. Oh, the beautiful mother. Okay. Not too important. The true journey was the fingers we made along the way. I feel like, so one of the stupid jokes that I make in the Discord is like the two fingers are essentially Miyazaki and George's ways to give us the two finger salute, which is more of like a European type thing where it's like the V for victory thing, but the knuckles are facing outward, which means like screw you essentially. So anyway, we got the Finger Weaver's Cookbook, which is a record of crafting techniques left by a determined student of the Finger Ruins. His brush with the sublime all but shattered his mind, though he was left capable enough to leave these few precious words. Acquire the knowledge to craft the following. Glinting nail. Right. So this is the nail stone. Flake-like stone shard with a faint fingerprint engraving. Material used for crafting items found at Finger Ruins. A piece that came loose from the tip of one of the column-like stone fingers that grow at Finger Ruins. So they are stone fingers. But were they like literally fingers? I don't know, man. Finger Mimic. Light pink mushroom resembling a wizened finger. Exceedingly rare to find. Used to by those who wish to become fingers to induce hallucinations. They call these mushrooms the stillborn of the two fingers. I never noticed the syntax error there. Oh, I wonder if that's like a knee thing. That's kind of funny. Anyway, so the finger mimics extremely bear a large resemblance to the dead man finger type of fungus in real life. And I know Zyostorm came out with another mushroom theory video. I have not watched his new one. I did watch his old one. I did like it. I wasn't on board with it entirely, but you know, it's just kind of one of those fun theories. So I'm curious as to how much more weight we can put into the theory now with this added context from the DLC. So I tend to think that the fingers aren't necessarily mushrooms despite everything, because like Matter's not a mushroom. They seem more organic, and like the Erdtree has roots, which mushrooms don't have roots kind of the same way that like trees do, from what I understand. Like it's a different thing technically speaking. Maybe I'm misremembering though. Oni thinks the finger creepers unironically made more sense as Rykard's minions, even given their locations. It all makes sense that Rykard would send them there. And you're sad we never got magic that was right there, like the Catacomb Mage's Ghost Flame spells, especially when there's no other good Ghost Flame magic in the DLC. Yeah, stuff like that definitely feels like a really big missed opportunity. It almost makes me wonder if they're going to include it in like a later patch. Oh yeah, I should talk about this. So as we come over here, we've got one of the horned red bears plus a friend. Oh, come on, bro. Why can't I aim? Hefty beast bone and beast blood. And then that's it. There's nothing here really. Ooh, some broken runes from a skull that I didn't see myself smash. So there's just like this huge empty space between this side of Grace, this entire finger rune, and then this spot over here. So I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And now we just backtrack to where we came from. Pretty much. So we did get the cross over here. So let's go ahead and talk to Ansbach. Oh yeah, I did fail to mention that the thing that I hate the most about the Cerulean and Crimson Flower Fields is the damn twinkling sound in the music that's not in the music, it's in the sound effects, which makes it sound like a freaking scarab is close by everywhere. That was driving me crazy my first playthrough. I'm like, okay, is there a scarab here, or am I just, you know, imagining things? It's the sound effects. So yeah. Maybe there's an item over here, but I don't think there was. I know there's the finger creepers on the ground. Okay. Man, no skidoo blessings or anything, huh? Alright. If you had every nickel... If you had a nickel every time a boss's head was a colossal weapon, you'd have 2 nickels. Yeah, they have mycelium networks. That's what I thought that they were, but I would have imagined that somebody would try to argue that they were roots. So thank you, Stella. And then Captini, nice to see you again. You thought that the mushroom part on the Erdtree is the gold creeping up on its surface? As you can see that the gold is kind of like the slime mushroom growth on some parts. Interesting. Like a lot of the mushrooms are symbiotic with trees sharing nutrients. That's true. Our Crusader nearly lost their mind with all that. So like that's the problem with some of the areas in the DLC. They're like super cool, and because they're super cool on a surface level, you think something super cool is going to come along with them, and then when there's nothing, you're just kind of left wondering, is that it?
Righteous tarnished. What brings you here?
And there's nothing wrong with that, but it just doesn't kind of meet the expectations of the imagination, I think.
Well, I am much obliged. To think there was a cross left in such a faraway place, and the deep purple water lilies would be blooming there. This can only mean kindly Mikola has divested himself even of that, his adoring other self, his blossom of slumber. Righteous Tarnished, what brings you here?
Damn it. So, which is the one where he talks about the eyes? Or maybe it does happen after you break it and you just go down here first. I think that's what I must have done. Yeah, because pretty much the first thing that I did after I broke the Great Rune is I beelined it straight to the fisherman's hut. That's a Fisher joke. I apologize.
Welcome. For you, things...
I don't know why I keep talking to him. Alright.
Goodbye.
So, next, I'm not sure entirely where I want to go. I'm thinking of the Fog Rift Catacombs, if that's what these ones are called. These ones are called. I was also really upset that I saw this thing but had no way of getting there. I spent a lot of time like scouring the cliff sides trying to find a way to get to the abyssal woods from above. I spent so much time. It's like the Shifa River stuff all over again. What am I doing? The areas are far too pretty for their own good. It was really funny queuing into Cosmos' stream earlier today, and then he was just frothing at the mouth at how he hated how overly saturated Shadow Altus is. And he said, like, the Shadow Tree looks like it's tinted with piss or something like that. So, my first time going to the catacombs, I did not come this way. I jumped down the cliff from the mausoleum side. And I think as we come up here, we're going to get a bunch of the little dudes, the vulgar militiamen. Wait. I just had a moment. I thought I was hearing like the twinkling of a scarab again. I think I'm just like audio hallucinating the twinkling sounds from the damn flower field. So we get our Rosus statues. Actually, I kind of forgot that there were Rosus statues here, so that shows they were like a thing even here, which is cool. They don't like the way though. Alrighty. I think there's like a bunch more that'll be around here, yeah. Oh. He got me with his Kasarigama. Is that a new weapon? How come we don't get that? That's like the worst thing about this weapon is its terrible tracking for things close to the ground. Dylan asks, are the deer in Shadow of the Erdtree smaller than normal, or are you mistaken? There might be some bigger variants in the base game, but I know some of the deer, the stags, can have like tangled horns, kind of. But they are still pretty small. Maybe you're right. And so why it feels like they should have put a boss at each of the finger runes, even a copy paste one like the Falling Star Beast or Estelle with new moves. That would be wild. People would lose their minds. I was actually a little bit surprised I was simultaneously surprised that we had a Falling Star Beast in the DLC and surprised that we had only one Falling Star Beast in the DLC. You hate ads. My condolences. Night Scout, nice to see you again. Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't reply to your comment on my video, but I'm pretty confident that there were no like major discrepancies with the helmet. And the only discrepancy that I know of with like the Ranah stuff, I had already talked about with that video. Sometimes people hallucinate a bit, it's fine. So the most I've experienced auditory hallucinations would be when taking hearing tests, because that just always happens. And mostly when I was a kid playing Pokemon Red, the damn Lavender Town music. I could hear that stuff even when I wasn't playing the game. It's kind of trippy. Because when I was a kid, I played that game so damn much, I continued to hear it even when the system was off. And it's kind of hard to describe it because, like, oh, you're just imagining it. It's like when you get a song stuck in your head. No, this was different. It felt like I was literally hearing something in real life. It wasn't as though, like, it got stuck in my head. It was a legitimate hallucination. A legitimate hallucination. Oh, damn. That did damage. Roll! I'm screwed. I'm screwed. Okay. Just like none of my inputs were going in the way that I actually wanted to right then. It's like the colossal trap sometimes. Young Tongue asks, how many Mikola followers know Mikola's other self is Saint Trina? I don't think that's very common knowledge because people were uncertain of Trina's gender. And there were also like, what are the word? Competing depictions of Trina with the adult form and whether or not Trina was a boy or a girl, which, you know, is kind of like the gender issue that I mentioned a moment ago. Oh, I was in dual handing. When Vorb was a kid, you were convinced the missing no made your Pokemon Blue card disappear? Oh no, that's crazy. That sucks. Maybe somebody stole it from you. I had somebody steal my version of Pokemon Blue from my backpack when I was at school, which, you know, that was cool. And like the messed up thing is that it's not like I told anybody that I had it with me or anything. So it's like somebody had to have like just gone rooting through my locker to have gotten it. All right. That's what I get for not playing smarter the first time. So we get yellow Fulgur Bloom here, which seems odd, but I mean, I guess it's supposed to be more of like a Godwin connection. Since we also get the Ancient Dragonite's Cookbook, Tier 1, which says, it gives us red lightning pot, and it's a record of crafting techniques of the ancient Dragonite who followed Godwin's Golden Knights into the realm of shadow. Hold on. Ancient Dragonite. I wonder if this is singular versus plural. I know the Japanese isn't going to distinguish. Hold on, let me... The thing that I'm humming about, because I haven't really looked at this description, except for when I first picked it up, would be that it does show a bit of a class difference between Godwin's Golden Knights and like the Ancient Dragon followers, cultists, I guess, which I don't know. I just don't really have very strong thoughts of, so I just wanted to take a mental note of this. Hey, Meow Laser and Vorb, nice to see both of you again. Meow Laser sometimes sees lights and hears sounds like car horns. Is that like epilepsy? So, Night Scout, the only unrequited love vibe that I got was from that, which isn't too different, about the moon not granting him succor, and the twin blade, which made it sound like she was like never with Mesmer, but I feel like that's a bit clearer in the Japanese. So it seems like even if Ranah and Mesmer were a thing, she still wasn't enough for what he needed, apparently. So I can't necessarily say that it's unrequited, and that just comes down more to headcanon, I think. Not resin. Yellow vulgar bloom. I think this might be one of the ones I can like sneak up on. I know he looking. Oh Lord, he looking. So is that a finger spell? I was not paying close enough attention. No, so that's a death hex. That's very reminiscent of a finger thing. Yeah, so these dudes are cool. Apparently, some people in the fandom have called them putrescent sorcerers, which is a fully made-up name. I can't really show off the baby on its chest right now. And the sad thing is, after you beat them, their corpses just disappear, so we don't even get the chance to look at them. Actually, it's probably for the best with the sensors. I don't know. Wait, I'm wearing the vial, aren't I? Yeah, okay, I don't need to be crouching around. Okay. Damn it, not okay. What a maroon. They seem to launch chunks of bone. Here we go. I just don't want to aggro all three. I'm fine with 2 at a time. I think he turns around automatically, maybe not, but... There we go. I almost fell for the trap. The trap that I should have known about. Zoli has them a bit on her channel. Was that a new video, or did they like make another one? Great Ghost Glovewort. Okay, so Stella had the hallucinations from his seizures she didn't know she was having. That's terrible. Oh yeah, that's right, because I remember you talking about that when I had the ordeal with the puppy, which he's been doing fine. So he's got his seizures under control. Where did that guy go? Damn it. Just won't stand still. I was going to try to show off the baby. They automatically detect the player character within a certain range? It seems so, yeah. Did I... Could I have triggered that? I think I probably could have triggered that. Okay, I forgot about that. I'm in the room that I can fall through the wall. Or I can fall through the map with the wall. Damn it, I can't. Syntax, apparently. I've not been here. Oh no, he jumped down. Let's not face check the enemy attack. That might be a helpful strat. It's kind of scary how quickly you go down. Like, you fall faster than you can fall, like terminal velocity in this game. So why did I want to come here? Oh, yeah. I don't think this works, but I just wanted to test it. Okay, no, it does work. Thanks, buddy. I really do like a lot of the catacomb design layouts like this. Black Knight Commander Andreas. Ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell. Used to summon the spirit of Andreas, Knight Commander of the Black Knights. The Black Knights were the primary force of Mesmer's army. Their first leader was Andreas, a man endowed with great strength and command over the powers of the Crucible, and whose spirit in these ashes dwells. That's kind of a weird final line. Anyway, though he remained a devout follower of Mesmer after his flight from the Erdtree, he would rebel after learning of his liege's serpentine nature. His righteous stand was rewarded with imprisonment in an underground tomb. So as far as the serpentine nature thing goes, it does mean that a bit more literally. I was wondering if this was more metaphorical, so I double checked the Japanese on it. No, it's more of a literal sense. Right, so now that we did that, we need to go back to the spike room. I think this is the way. Then we drop all the way down. The old FromSoft PTSD. Thanks, friendly ghost. So if there's a ladder there, I'm definitely gonna not go that way. Yeah, I also spent the time trying to check all of the walls for hidden doors. So I do want to go up the damn ladder. So this will get us by the Birdo golem, I'm pretty sure. Astynex really wishes the game had a photo mode. Yosoba's shields on her back actually blocked backstabs. That would be really cool, and I agree with the photo mode thing. Yep, so this is where Birdo was. I do like that typically when you can see an area in these kind of games, or like have an enemy that you can't get to immediately, it's because you can get to it somewhere else. And there are some exceptions to that which can kind of annoy me, like the Crucible Knight and Shivra, because there's no direct way to access it until like way later in the game. Night Scott says, the Death Knight's armor mentions that as ancient Erdtree decorations, but they don't really seem apparent. Yeah, that was something that that's weird. That I wanted to double check sometime. I just haven't gotten around to it. So we had a stake of America, which means we should die on purpose. And I'm only half joking about that. Oh yeah, speaking of golems like these guys, some people have wondered whether or not the elder golems are meant to depict horn scent. Now that we know what the horn scent are in the DLC. So let's just die to this guy. Or maybe not, because we'll get to the final door and there'll be another stake of America. We can just die in the boss room. Oh lord, they're shooting. At least he's not using the super annoying spell. Ooh. The one that's almost like the rancorous version of Spira. So that's like the little baby in its chest. Yeah, the catacombs in the DLC are just all really big. Ah, this room. Like, this isn't a bad room, it's just a little bit fatiguing. I think when I came here the first time around, I had the Lamenter lantern, and that made it easier to deal with some stuff like this. How did I not fall in? Oh my god. Maybe it's because I swung my weapon. And then there's like 3 dudes over there. Yeah. I thought I was safe right there. A forked tongue hatchet. Right now we are out of heals. Shadow Realm Rune, Tier 3. There was one on the wall. I did a quick scan and I didn't see him. Oh, and my tracking was off. We're all golems. Golem. So you can bring the spikes down and then ride them up. But I'll save that for later, I think. So this goes to the boss room, so I will not save it for later. Damn it. Why do all these wizards have a baby under their robe? For good luck. You ever hear of rabbit's feet? Same principle, right? I don't know, man. Oh. I forgot that there's like a little slot for that. Try not to get accidentally smashed by them. Ash of War, Blink Bolts. This is a cool one. And now that we've shown off like the fingerprint ruins, we can get the stone sheath sword from the altar of not darkness or light. Although I was actually watching a friend on his playthrough and he picked up the sword at the ruins of Auntie, as I like to call it, in the place southeast of the Shadow Keep. So this makes me wonder if this could double as the altar of darkness if you pick up the sword elsewhere. It's kind of strange. Thought I was safe as the famous Last Words in Souls games. True story. It's weird details like the secret dead baby coddled under the robes that make From Software games special. Yeah. Unironically true, though. I don't know if we could get those as weapons. I don't think so. And I wonder if the golem spirit ashes are any good. Alright, here we go. Oh Lord, he's looking. Alright, maybe I will finally be able to pull out my telescope. Still too far away. Oh, he's facing the other way. Damn it, so I'm not gonna... Okay, this might work. Okay, so this is about as good as I'm gonna be able to get, I think. Oh, and we've got like the not putrescent beast blood ooze behind him as well. So I am a little bit disappointed we don't get the kind of goofy looking scepters or daggers that these guys get to carry, or even like their really dingy armor sets in addition to their spells. Alright, sweet. Okay, this is definitely as good as it's ever gonna get. In your face, Lily. We don't need no model viewer. All three altars can work as another variant of themselves. That makes sense. It's kind of surprising. It depends on the order they're found in. It's just definitely not what I expected. Like a little bit of a leniency and grace in a FromSoft game? What? Yeah, so this thing is pretty much the exact same as Putrescent, but it's different. They tend to have things like beast bones within them. And I kind of think, well, before the DLC happened, I thought like the living jars might be analogous to whatever is going on with these things, where pustules of flesh bound together could like kind of become reanimated, which might still be how the jars work, all things considered, with like the Miko and the shamans. They made an ode to Yoda. These guys are an homage to Dumbledore. Oh no, I have top chat on, not live chat, so I was missing messages. So Stella said, crackpot theory, dead baby powered sorcery. That's crazy. Certainly a crackpot theory. Now I've got the stupid heart on screen. Oh well. Alright, Ask Next, you have a good night, and thanks for joining us as always. Hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. So I'm not going to fight the putrescent thingies. The ooze boys. Aren't there two in this one? Yeah. Oh, I was out of stamina! Oh, and I'm out of heals too. I thought I had one left. So let's pick up this cool item. Electro charge. Okay. I was about to be salty if it wasn't important after all. But it was. I can deal with it. Alright, so now we can more or less go to the boss room and die immediately. No one ever saw Substitute Bale? Damn, it brings us all the way back up here. Okay. Now I gotta remember how to go through this entire dungeon again. Moderately terrified that this will kill me if it hits me. Alright. So for whatever reason, as we come into the catacombs, they don't have the Erdtree style doors, which suggests to me that the catacombs are indeed older than Erdtree burial, which I had that thought in the base game, but there's also like enough evidence to make it questionable. It was always just kind of really annoying. Death Knights. Oh, I remember how I dealt with these dudes now. I just sorted and boarded them because I was not happy dealing with all the hyper damage. So I don't know how to fight them properly with a colossal weapon. Oh yeah, but I'm playing like cheat style, so I can just summon me Mimic. Hold on, he coming! Oh my god! These guys seem so cool and loyal, you almost feel bad for trying them. I mistimed that. Okay. Screw your phase 2. I didn't see what he was doing. He's cheating. Oh, I thought that was going to be it. Oh, it was. Death Knight's Twin Axes. Crimson Amber Medallion +3. Thanks for the GG. The Death Knights were such a colossal pain for you as a pure caster. Oh, God. I feel like... Well, I imagined that a lot of the DLC was probably pretty rough for casters. It felt like there were not many windows where you could cast spells. And it felt like you had to have the sorcery or incantation casting time reduction talismans on. So, give me 1 second here, and then I will read this all. I'm going to hydrate real quick. Mesmer froze for Jack Irish. That's funny. Alright, so we actually got a lot of items, huh? Okay. Let's go to Blink Bolt. Blink Bolt, skill used by the Golden Knights who served Godwyn. From a low stance, the body is transformed into a bolt of lightning and charges straight ahead at fulgurous speed, usable on all melee armaments. I wonder, like, how good this is for, like, cheesing stuff. I imagine it wouldn't do, like, enough damage to be really good. And I think the wind-up is kind of long and there isn't, like, a lot of ground that it covers. But I wonder if you could go through a lot of, like, Radahn's attacks, if you could phase through his body or anything like that. Dragon Bolt Grease. Solidified knot grease made from a mixture of fulminating materials. Coats armament, adding heavy lightning damage to attacks. The effect lasts only for a short time. Said to have been a favored tool of the Dragon Cult Knights who once served the Prince of Gold. Forked Tongue Hatchet, a peculiar weapon wielded by imps. Hatchet smithed in the shape of a fork-tongued dragon. The gently undulating forked blade is known as an imp's tongue and causes blood loss. I think these weapons are really cool, even if they're not, like, super viable. But unique skill, Dragon Form Flame. Spew fire from a Dragon Form maw, sweeping in a frontward arc. The flames on the ground will continue to burn for a short time. Actually, maybe this weapon's better than I give it credit for. Stone Sheathed Sword. A sword that none can pull from its scabbard of cracked stone. Relic of a lost civilization from a time long past, said to have served a ritual purpose at altars of light and darkness. One of my favorite satirical tropes on, like, the D&D Arthurian style legend is having a sword in a stone, but rather than being able to pull the sword from the stone, a character will just brute force, raw strength, pick up the sword with the stone at the end of it and use it as a hammer, kind of like the Kirk hammer, but you know. Anyway. Electrocharge. One of the incantations of the capital's ancient dragon cult. Calls down lightning to charge the caster's body. While charged, electric shocks will strike the area several times. Charging increases potency. The origin of incantations that bolster the body with lightning, and now a lost art in the lands between. So this is one of the more intriguing incantations in the DLC, even if it doesn't really give us a lot to work with. Just because if this is the origin of the incantations that bolster the body with lightning, why is it here of all places? I don't really think it's like super relevant, but I don't know, it's just intriguing. Yellow Fulgur Bloom. Have I read these yet? I think so, maybe not. Yellow flower that crackles with lightning. Blossoms in the realm of shadows, underground grave sites, and places struck by lightning, imbued with yellow lightning's essence. So I still don't entirely know why there is a difference between yellow lightning and red lightning. And I wish I did. Death Knight's twin axes. Golden war axes of the Death Knight, a pair of weapons made to be wielded in both hands. Crackles with lightning, the power of the capital's ancient dragon cult. Okay. The knight, once the personal guard of Godwyn, was also the protector of the Prince of Death's cadaver's surrogate. I guess that makes sense. Alright. Unique skill, Blink Bolt Twin Axe. From a low stance, okay, that's the same thing as the Blink Bolt thing. Crimson Amber Medallion +3 is almost the same as the base game, but the final paragraph is a little bit different. So, the Erdtree's old sap becomes amber, treasured as the most precious of jewels in the age of Godfrey, the first Elden Lord. These medallions, of the largest variety, were conferred to Godwyn's inner circle of distinguished Golden Knights. So Godwyn's Golden Knights went on to become the Death Knights, and they were different from the Dragon Cult Knights, but also still used the Dragon Cult incantations, as we saw in the fight a moment ago. So, yeah, don't know what else to make about that. And so, talking about the cadaver surrogates, I would need to double check the Japanese, but from my memory, it's more along the lines of Godwyn's body being split apart and like coming here rather than being a surrogate cadaver, which can imply a very different thing. I'm pretty certain they call him like a Wakemi, like split body essentially, which, I mean, if Godwyn's body is rooting in Deathroot and whatnot, it doesn't surprise me that we have like multiple versions of his visage showing up in other locations. That's kind of what is implied on the... Do I have the Deathroot thing? The Prince of Death pustule. It is said that this pustule came from the visage of the Prince of Death, he who used to be called Godwyn. As first dead the demigods, it said he's buried deep under the capital at the Erdtree's roots. Because we have the visages of Godwyn appearing on this, as well as in other bits of Deathroot, and so the fact that the so-called cadaver surrogate appears in the Land of Shadow is very intriguing, because if the Realm of Shadow was separated from the Lands Between, where the hell did this Deathroot come from to infiltrate the Lands Between? I will refer back to Crunchy's idea that the Realm of Shadow could be underneath the Lands Between, and I do unironically think there is a pretty good possibility that... What is it? Is it a key item? That the Shadow Tree is like the quote-unquote roots section of the Erdtree, if it's like underneath it. And so if the Shadow Tree was connected to the Erdtree's roots, or like if the Erdtree was connected to the Great Tree, which could be the Shadow Tree for all we know, and its roots, then Deathroot spreading through the Erdtree / Great Tree's roots system might explain why it's able to appear here, because maybe the Shadow Realm is just like physically separated and not like dimensionally separated somehow. Maybe the world was remolded in Marika's image at one point. Does that make Godwyn a leech then? Kind of. Except he's not all there, so he doesn't have his phylactery, so he's like the opposite of a leech. He's like a super zombie. The face is legitimately disturbing. Oh man, when I saw the first trailer for Elden Ring, I was so excited when I saw the Godin face. I was like, oh, what is that? And then it was nothing. But yeah, deeply unsettling. Still super cool, even if nothing really comes of it. Actually? Oh, I guess we do have people in the roots. Alright, I'm still medium load. I didn't notice this before. Oh, he's got a claw? Oh, there's statues up there too? I haven't seen them. I don't know if there's statues like this in the base game. I kind of assumed there would be, but I just never looked there. Okay, it's the broken hand lady. She's in a lot of places like this. The fact that we've got bodies in these catacombs in the roots is interesting. Were these things going to the Shadow Tree or the Erdtree? Or something else? The Spiral Tree? Great Tree? Whatever you want to call it? Could they have been the things powering the trees in Anir Lim? I don't think so, but... Okay. So I think that's pretty much it for the Catacomb. And Paisan, nice to see you again. Jack's disappointed there isn't heavy bleed damage. I feel like bleed is already heavy bleed damage. It's really good in this game. So, hold on. Dylan was saying for the caster build, some bosses were better than others, but most were either very hard or nightmares. It was kind of similar to the melee experience. Granted, I wasn't using like summons for the most part. And like when I did summon, it's just because I didn't want to take the time to do it because the fights like weren't particularly exciting to me. Or, well, actually most of the reason why I ended up summoning was just because I literally wanted to have enough of a gap to cast Rot Breath without getting knocked out of the animation. It's silly. Which is why I fought Ranah with +0 skeletal militiamen. Which I probably should have just kept using the militiamen for other bosses, but I was kind of over it when I ended up summoning. Alright, so wait, what catacomb is this again? Did I... Oh no, I'm just very far to the left. Falgrift Catacomb. That's what I thought. So there's nothing else this way. I guess we could go up the river and fight the ulcerated tree spirit that I neglected. I don't really want to fight the Hexer thing in the Rivermouth Cave. So I guess pretty much everything else is just Shadow Altus and Castle Ensis. I'm curious what will happen if I come to the back of Shadow Altus, so I'm going to go there first. This is to see if we could see Leda or the Horn Scent before defeating Ranah. And somebody was asking what my weapon was. This is where I got it. It's this Ruined Forge of Starfall Past. Jacob Benjamin, welcome on in. You personally think the cadaver surrogate mentioned is Fia, as she becomes like a surrogate mother for the Mending Rune? The only thing about that is it's really annoying talking about the canon events of the base game in relation to the DLC. Because you could either do Fia's quest or not at all, or you could like kill Fia. Why am I even fighting these dudes? I need to double up. So I'm just going to ignore this stuff. So there's no real reason to fight this crayfish. I don't think I got all of the scarabs over there, but I think they're just upgrade materials. So should we go to more... Morth? No. There we go. As long as I don't go too far, we shouldn't break the shadow thing. The Mikola's rune, I mean. Empyrean Blood Burgeon and Carved Words Coalesce. I abandon here the flesh of my body. That one appears a couple times. I don't know if Ansbach will say anything about it. What's Dane have to say? Ah, of course. Dylan says, if there's an Elden Ring 2, you feel like death might take a more central theme and role. Part of the reason I laugh isn't because of you, it's just because that's kind of what we felt about the DLC. But you might be right about that. Like, Dark Souls did eventually get more and more about the dark over time. It only took 3 games and... Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 DLCs to really talk about the dark. Wait, where am I going? This is not the right way, or is it? No, I don't want to be going towards that guy. Oh, right, because it's Morth Ruins. I want to go to the right. Hey, Yushun. Nice to see you again. And Save Frog. You hate that God didn't get more lore, but you're still more upset about the Glowmide Queen erasure? Wait, why did I go this way? I'm not even upset that we didn't get Glowmide Queen stuff. I'm just upset we didn't really get the America Gate of Divinity connection. Like, oh, sure, there's the Mikola connection, but that's kind of unsatisfying for me. Oh, no, I did. I'm just going up the cliff. Okay. Shows how often I come this direction. Monk's Missive. Made the best win. Shadow Tree Fragments. Is this enough to level up? Alrighty. So, let's go ahead and level up our Shadow Tree Blessing again. Already level 7. And... oh yeah, need to actually level up. Alright. You hate that the DLC actively made us have less lore on the Glowmide Queen? At least there were theories of her being Milan in the base game. I mean, they could still potentially work, but it's pretty rough out here. We've got magic helmets. This looks so creepy. All right.
Hello again. Did you meet my compatriots? They're quite the congregation. from places as far and wide as you can imagine. Doubtless it'd have all come to blows at first glance, were it not for the charm kindly Mikola put upon us. This is what allows us to serve together, the work of a living god.
So I do kind of hate that they call him kindly Mikola, just because kindly is an adverb in English, and I don't know, maybe there's some archaic ass definition that they're working with. I doubt it. Let me look it up real quick. In a kind manner, kind, warm-hearted, or gentle, and that's just not really compatible. That's what's used with the Japanese. And of course you could say like Lord Mikola, and maybe they just wanted to emphasize something, but even if it's like kind Mikola in like the German sense of like child Mikola, I could kind of go with that, but kindly is just like one step too far for me. I'm a little bit salty. Alright. About the silent monk.
Oh, that man is known as Dane. He's been in the service of Mikola the Kind longer than I. He might be solemn of cheer, but is a fierce warrior nevertheless. There's no cause for concern. Dane's reluctance to speak to you is no fault of your own. We've been acquainted for quite some time, but even I am yet to hear his voice. Perhaps one day. Oh, that man is... He's been in this... He might be solemn. There's no cause. Dane's we've been acquainted. Perhaps one... Wondering about the horn scent, are you? True enough. In any other circumstance, he'd be at our throats. Long ago, Queen Marika commanded Sir Mesmer to purge the Tower folk, a cleansing by fire. It's no wonder the Hornsent holds the Erdtree in contempt. That aside, man is by nature a creature of conquest, and in this regard, the Tower folk are no different. They were never saints. They just happened to be on the losing side of a war, but it's still a wretched shame.
So that's kind of one of the more important lines in the DLC, that the Hornsent were no saints. They were just on the losing side of a war. I'm curious if you could actually walk through that fog gate and just fight Ranah directly. I never even entertained that as a possibility, but it's kind of funny. I think her dialogue is just going to repeat here.
Wondering about the Hornsent. True enough. Long ago, a cleansing. It's no wonder the Horn. That aside, and in this they were never saints. They just happened, but it's still a...
Alrighty. So that's it with Leda for now. Oops. Yeah, so if you attack any of the NPCs anywhere, they just kind of fade away into gold mist, like gold mask. And that's it. They didn't want us to get their armor. Feels bad. Alright. Hornsent. So he's got the caterpillar mask on and the braided robe, whatever it's called, which increases the effect of specters, not specters, wraiths and whatnot.
You have a knack for timing, my fellow. I found the site of a new cross. Take this.
New cross map. Map of cross sites received. Check in inventory.
Mikola has said as much himself. He wishes now to throw it all away. He says the act, though undoubtedly painful, will sear clean the Erdtree's wanton sin. The truth of his claim can be found at each cross, which is evidence enough to earn my belief.
So, there's kind of a lot at stake with this dialogue that I don't know exactly how to take here. And this is one of the things that I've been like looking into a bit more over this week. Things relating to sin and the Erdtree sin specifically, because as I was talking about on yesterday's stream or the day before, we're told that like Mesmer's kindling was with the original sin or the beginning sin, whatever it is in English, the first sin maybe, and it's not like the flame of ruin. And burning the Erdtree is said to have been the first cardinal sin. So, like, burning the tree is the sin. We're told that the Crucible was the quote-unquote original Erdtree. So it does make me unironically wonder if the Hornsent had their own version of the Erdtree, which Marika burned, betraying them, and if that's the sin that is inherent within the Erdtree. So if that's the case, I think the only way for me to reconcile the quote unquote like original Erdtree stuff would be that if it was speaking more metaphorically, which is fine, but it's also annoying because there isn't always a clear indicator of what description should be understood to be a metaphor versus being a more literal thing. And so part of my issue with like all of the Crucible stuff is I was taking it literally just because I didn't have enough to be certain that it wasn't meant literally. And if there was an original Erdtree, it seemed like with all of the imagery of the Crucible being related to Godfrey and his knights in the base game, then it seemed plausible enough that the original Erdtree was just Godfrey's Erdtree, and it could have been changed or altered with Radagon's ascension to Elden Lord. And now that I've like floated up the idea that the Hornsent had their own tree and anything, and that could have been burned, I should also bring up the distinct possibility that the burning of the Erdtree also could have technically happened after the Age of Godfrey, and that could have been like the impetus to begin Radagon's age. Because if we need to burn the Erdtree to begin our age, maybe Radagon had to do something like that himself. Maybe that's the betrayal that Marika did, because maybe all of the Hornsent were aligned with Godfrey and everything and the Crucible stuff. So I'm still kind of on the fence with everything. There's never anything like fully explicit in these games to make it clear. So I'm still really struggling with the timeline. Like, it feels like both arguments have merit and contradictions, which is just kind of mildly infuriating. Alright. Jacob likes to think that the Glowmaid Queen was in some way connected to the Putrescence. That would have been cool as well. I would have been very intrigued to see how those connections would flesh out, pun intended. Feels like they set us up for a banquet, the Glowmaid Queen and Godwin, and all we got was served was a lollipop. Okay. Jack thinks that the Tarnished is the strongest character in all of the FromSoft games. We literally kill 2 children of the Greater Will, 2 gods, several demigods, and more. Let me think about that. In all the FromSoft games? Maybe. It is arguable, because you could... It is questionable like how powerful the Good Hunter becomes at the end of Bloodborne. But then I guess if you're talking about the end of the games, then like becoming Elden Lord should be extremely powerful as well. Although I will say that the Good Hunter has that ranged parry. Can't beat that. Save Frog says it's interesting she calls him Sir Mesmer and not Lord or Prince or whatever. As far as the Japanese goes, I'm pretty sure she either calls him Mesmer Kyo or Mesmer Dono, which are like different ways of saying Lord, but not as referential as Sama. So, it's kind of hard to describe that. Paisan asks, could the Shadow Tree be a burnt Hornsent tree? It certainly looks like it could be a burnt tree. And yeah, that's kind of the thing that I've been wondering, especially with it being called the Shadow of the Erdtree in other spots. Like, part of the reason why I get annoyed with the Crucible being called the quote-unquote original Erdtree and trying to figure out if that's meant literally or figuratively is that how can I tell what is like what Erdtree is being talked about at a given time? So if the Shadow Tree is the shadow of the Erdtree, does that mean it's the shadow of the quote unquote original Erdtree or the current Erdtree? Because we do have that one description which says that I think it's the Battle Priests. I don't remember which one it is off the top of my head. didn't have you couldn't really see the Erdtree in the Shadowlands, and so they were doing their own thing. Was it this one? Okay, yeah, no, it was this one. These keepers of the faith fought bitterly to spread their gospel in the realm of shadow, where there was no Erdtree to gaze upon. So the shadow of the Erdtree isn't the Erdtree, or was it the former Erdtree? Like, what the hell does shadow mean? There is the possibility that shadow in Japanese, kind of similarly to like shade in English, can be used to reference to like a dead soul. So maybe the shadow tree is the dead soul of the Erdtree, but that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense. But for what it's worth, in like Japanese mythology, or maybe folklore is a better word for it, souls or like Rei spiritual energy isn't necessarily limited to humans, and so like plants, animals, and like rocks can have it. Actually, I don't know if rocks can have Rei. Well, no, Chi Rei. Yeah, so they should have spirits of themselves, I guess. But it's not like the soul type of spirit that we think of in the West, I guess. So what was I even talking about? Yeah, as far as the internal file names goes, the Putrescent Knight was called the Gloam-Eyed Knight. But that also, we don't know when the Putrescent Knight was originally being developed. Like, he could have been like a cut base game boss that just couldn't fit in. And so with all of Miquella's rewrites, they might have just threw what would have been related to the Gloam-Eyed Queen in the base game in with everything else related to Miquella and Trina. Yushin doesn't understand this cookbook description at all. Was there a moment where the Erdtree wasn't in the realm of shadows? So technically, it's not in the realm of shadow even now, but chat replay stuck? Okay, my fault. I don't have my window open. Thank you. What am I doing? The Erdtree wasn't in the realm of shadows. So, like, there are some descriptions which make it sound like the Erdtree was not ever in the realm of shadows, kind of like this one, but I feel like these devout battlefield priests could have been like later priests in the shadow realm, and so that could explain like this discrepancy. But yeah, we're told from Miyazaki's interview that the lands between were one with the land of shadow in the past, but they were like separated somehow. And honestly, if it wasn't for that interview, I don't even know if I would have really gotten that vibe for real, except for like maybe like the suppressing tower, and that's pretty much it. Vitan Don, nice to see you again. What's my take on Godwin's Knights being in the shadow realm? Did they go looking for his soul? I don't know if they went looking for his soul, but they might have been like protecting his body, or maybe they might have gone looking for his soul, like not knowing any better that it's been like destroyed. Enterwise says, it could make sense if the true Erdtree is dead, which is very well possible considering the Erdtree is hollow and the wood looks dead. So the thing that bothers me a lot about like the Shadow Tree is that it seems to be having sap spilling out from it as though it were the Erdtree depicted in Godfrey's time. But then like the Sealing Tree is stopping it. So a really big part of me thinks that the Sealing Tree could have been, I call it the Sealing Tree. Well, I mean, it does look almost exactly like the Sealing Tree, to be fair. The second stalk on the tree, this one, seems to be trying to embrace the Erdtree thing, as though it's trying to stop the sap from dripping, and maybe that's all related to Radagon. So that way, if it stops the sap from dripping, its life force won't leave it, perhaps, might be one way of reading it. But I mean, a lot of the Shadow Tree stuff doesn't really seem to be fully related to Golden Order fundamentalism specifically. There are hardly any mentions of the Golden Order in the DLC at all. One thing which does intrigue me is that the minor Erdtree incantation mentions that it's an incantation of the kindness of gold without order. So if the minor Erdtree is comparable to like the very first depictions of the Erdtree, then does that mean the first iteration of the Erdtree, the quote-unquote ancient Erdtree, lacked order? And did order come later? So I think there's also stuff about the Shadow Tree lacking order because it's filled with dark thoughts and emotions, which makes it brittle. Something along those lines. And so, did Radagon and Marika separate the Shadowlands like when he became Elden Lord? And is that where this all fits together? Like before the Golden Order was a thing? I tend to not try and use the absence of evidence as evidence for a claim or a theory. So take this with a hefty grain of salt, because this isn't necessarily coming from me, but I've seen other people mention that it's interesting that we don't have really any mentions of the Golden Order or Golden Order fundamentalism in the Shadowlands, and that might indicate that Golden Order fundamentalism came later then, since we don't really have relics of it here, but I don't know how to feel about that. And then Yushin said, maybe the shattering also weakened whatever seal was placed over the realm. That's a very interesting idea. Do you mean like the tree's sap could be spilling out because of the shattering? Actually, that can make a lot of sense. Or maybe you also mean something else to go along with that. I don't think I have any of the blessings. Damn it. Yeah, I could see that working. That could be a pretty good headcanon, I suppose. Say Frog says, does the Death Knights and Godwin's roots on the Realm of Shadow imply that Mesmer's Crusade happened post-Shattering? I'm not exactly sure when the Crusades happened themselves, but at least in the story trailer, Anir Lim was already veiled. So it's later than that. It's later than like the Carians appearing on the scene. But does that make it post-Shattering? Maybe? But if it does, I'm really curious why Marika would have told Mesmer to burn all of the horn scent. Maybe the Shattering was the betrayal of the horn scent and not just the Crusade. I would need to really think about that a lot more. And then Kyle, nice to see you again. Godwin died before the Shattering. We don't know how soon after the Shattering it happened. Just that it eventually triggered it. Yeah. Paisan asks, the old Golden Order started after the Shadowlands were sealed away, no? So this ties back into the question of whether or not the Shadowlands were created with the creation of the Erdtree, which people have differing opinions on. So if you think that the Golden Order began when Marika and Godfrey started the Age of the Erdtree, and if you think the Shadowlands were sealed when the Erdtree was created, then you could say that the Golden Order could potentially precede the separation of the two realms. But it's just we don't know. Yushin says, oh lord, the chronology in this game is so bad. You get headaches trying to make sense of it. I thought I had a pretty decent sense of what was going on in the base game. And I knew that even if my pet theories were wrong, that I could very easily pivot to other theories to make sense of things. But the thing that baffles me the most about the DLC is I feel like I can't pivot anywhere. Like there's not enough ground to stand on. I did not expect that. And this could be a me problem, but I haven't really, I mean, I really haven't looked at other people's content yet to know how other people feel about it, but okay, I can't go in this way. It's kind of what I figured, but it's kind of funny. I know Cosmos, at the very least, is struggling, and it seems like others are as well, but those are just the vibes that I've got. Is pasta technically a pizza? No. Save Frog said the Shadowlands have to have been separated after Godwin's death based on his presence there. Not necessarily. And you might not have been in the stream earlier when I brought up like what I often call like Crunchy's theory that the Shadowlands might be physically underneath the lands between. And I tend to use this depiction of what might be the Erdtree as evidence for this. So obviously we don't have a second stalk on the bottom portion where it looks like the roots are, but I think it's very possible that the Erdtree on top could be like the Erdtree of the lands between, and then the root-like thing at the bottom could depict the Shadow Tree. And I think the depiction on that cookbook might align with what we see on the door of the Erdtree itself. But of course, that's all speculation. Then there's also the possibility that some death roots could have been brought into the Shadowlands after the fact, and then it could have just sprouted that way. Actually, does that really work with all of the Death Knight stuff? Maybe it doesn't. So anyway, if the death root infiltrated the roots of the Erdtree, and then the Shadow Tree is connected to the Erdtree, like through the bottom, then there isn't necessarily a contradiction of the timeline of his cadaver surrogates, as they're called in English, appear in the DLC areas. Imbued sword key was lost with use. I didn't get the imbued sword key from the DLC. I don't remember where it is off the top of my head, but anyway, this all isn't too important. It's the same ingredients? I feel like that's a terrible argument. It's not so much the ingredients which make the dish as much as it is the combination of preparation. Like it's the preparation which makes the dish rather than the ingredients. Oh no, a divine bird warrior, but I can summon. He pulled out a torch. What a maroon. I should have let him grab me. It's so cheap summoning for stuff like this. Wait, I thought there was an automatic drop when you killed that guy. Or maybe there's an item here? Oh, maybe this is it. Okay. So as we come to the Rao ruins, we see this depiction of a human-esque woman. We get the verdigris discus. There's a verdigris. I don't know how to pronounce it. Oh, sleep, girl. Alright. A discus made of verdigris, the corroded metal known for its heft, raises defense with higher equipment load. Great weight makes for great strength. The strength to protect others. So this only works with like a heavy load. I don't think super heavy or encumbered actually increases things. Oh yeah, and then we got the monk's missive and the new cross map. A letter bearing a terse message and an illustration of a monk, his hands held together. Seek me to the east if you wish to pursue the way of the warrior. When you find me, you will challenge me to a bout. There is no need for words. New cross map, a simple map drafted by a horncent, recently revised. Reveals the locations of newly discovered golden crosses. The crosses are akin to Miquella's footprints or gravestones, which mark what he has left behind. So that's all well and good. Which one was it? I thought we got another Godwin related item. Oh, this is right. No. It's definitely not that far down. This is it. Interesting. So, yeah, going back to the whole death root aspect of things, I've wondered. I didn't talk about it too much on this stream. I don't remember how much I talked about it on yesterday's stream, or maybe it was the day before. But burning the Erdtree, I've wondered if that is a canon event for the event of being able to come into the Shadowlands, because Destined Death is called like a dark shadow essentially, and I wondered if the Erdtree was keeping the Shadowlands sealed same way that the Sealing Tree keeps Anir Elim sealed, but maybe with us canonically burning the Erdtree, this allowed Mikola to enter the Shadow Realm and do what he's doing now, which might be why he's only just breaking his Great Rune and acting. So, yeah. Anyway. D&D Hydrate, welcome back. And honestly, I feel that might just be the death root. That might just be the root system that runs under the tree. I think that's a fair possibility as well. But yeah, the whole Destined Death connection. If Destined Death becomes Deathroot, which is a shadow, maybe that's enough of a connection for Deathroot to appear in the Shadowlands. Yushin loves fighting the Divine Bird Warriors. They're better than some of the Remembrance bosses for you. Yeah, a lot of these kind of mini-boss, almost regular mobs are really cool to fight. One at a time. The Curse Blades are cool as hell. I hate fighting the Curse Blades because they can mess me up. I don't really hate it, but I get... they definitely put me on the edge of my seat every time. Yeah, I agree, Ryushin, that the problem is you can enter the DLC before burning the tree, so that can't be true. Well, you say that, but when we come into the DLC, Leda calls us the Lord of the Erdtree in America, or no, well, the Hornsent does at times if you like get him to fight you. Leda says something else to that effect. Mikola says like Lord of the Old Order if he grabs you. It's pretty messed up, like that we don't know the canon time to even be able to enter the DLC, which is why I think it was a mistake having like the entrance point just be purely the Withered Arm. Yeah, Vitan Dawn entered before burning the Erdtree. That's what I did in my first playthrough too. Mikolas calls you Aspiring Lord of the Old Order. Hold on. I feel like he has multiple lines of dialogue. Actually, let me pull this up. Mikaka. Nope, I can't type. So I can't share this with you guys right now, but... let me see if I get the grab.
I can be happy for you.
Okay. I think you guys should be able to hear this.
You, 1,000-year voyage guided by compassion.
Or is it the cutscene where he says it, Aspiring Lord? So let me see the second grab. Maybe it is the cutscene.
Year voyage. Lord of the Old Order,
There we go.
let us go together.
Lord of the Old Order, let us go together. And in that playthrough, I hadn't even burned the Erdtree. You never died by his grab? Yeah, I didn't die on my playthrough against him. I had to go back and get footage because it's really cool stuff. Mikola's voice actor's so good. Yeah, so we were talking about what the canon time is for going into the DLC not being clear, because there's a ton of characters who refer to us as the Lord of the Erdtree, which is annoying, Mikola included. And someone's like, "Oh, Mikola just says you're the aspiring Lord," which might be true for the cutscene, but in the grab, he says that you are the Lord of the Old Order. The second grab. He's actually got 3 quotes for the grabs. There's the first grab, which is normal. Then if you purify it, he can grab you a second time, and that line will be different. And then he has a different quote if he steals your heart. So he's got 3 lines total. Well, 3 dialogues total for that fight. Oh yeah, so that was it for this section of the place. I did accidentally discover that you can jump over there and trigger the Stake of America for the Divine Dancing Beast Lion thing. However, that doesn't seem to work if you have not activated the fight at all. So I don't know if that'll work, and that could be a PC thing. So I'm just gonna jump off here just to see if there is a difference or not. How funny would it be if I did a rouse skip right now? Okay, that's kind of what I expected. Yeah, so the first time I killed that divine bird, it let me... I looted some item from it, so I thought there was an automatic drop, but apparently not. And then for whatever reason, we also have a headless Karian troll knight guarding the belfry, like we have them in the 4 belfries. But we don't have any other headless soldiers in the DLC that I can think about. Oh yeah, and somebody had mentioned, I think in Cosmos' stream, that there's a depiction of the cherubim-like things on the belfry itself, which matches what we can see on some of the stone coffins, but that doesn't seem to be the case. This is probably a bad angle anyway. I should go to the 4 belfries and look at it. He drops 9 smithing 8s if you need them. Oh, damn. Ryushin has to say that they preferred the idea that burning the Erdtree burned the seal on the Land of Shadows. It should have been a requirement. It also would explain why there's no Melina dialogue. You know, that's kind of a fair point as well. And that just kind of ties back into what I call, the absence of evidence isn't necessarily evidence either. But definitely a good enough reason, I think, to argue for it. These dudes are poison monsters. The somber smithing stone. Alrighty. So that's pretty much that. I am kind of annoyed that you have to warp to get out of this area, but apparently that was also true for the other belfries in the base game. Just kind of always a bit disappointing to me. when you can't just like organically get out of an area like this. The funny thing is I had a friend who was doing a like a no fast travel run, and he would just like have to die essentially to get out of a place like this to respawn at a site of grace. So anyway, let's go see Ansbach again since we checked out the one cross, and then we got like a couple ones over here, but I don't know if he has special dialogues for these ones. Alright, there we go.
Righteous Tarnished. What brings you here?
I saw nothing. Okay. Zoinks. So, I think pretty much all that we have left beyond Skidoo Altus is just Castle Entis. So I think that's where we will pick up tomorrow's stream. Unless I'm forgetting something else small over here. We did that. We did that. Did that. That. Yeah, so it's pretty much just like the river. Okay, yeah, I still don't feel like fighting the Furnace Golem, so I'm just gonna put myself outside of Castle Ensis. So, alright everybody, that'll be it once again for tonight's stream. Thank you so much for joining in. We'll be going live at the normal time of 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully we will catch you all on the next stream. Till then, take care, stay safe. Last Protagonist out.